Welcome to Life Stories channel. This is where you'll find stories about daily life, inspiring tales, and motivational journeys of resilience and growth. This is my very first video on life stories, and I genuinely look forward to your feedback to help me improve future content. Thank you, everyone. Today, I'm going to share with you a story from the workplace, something you've probably encountered at some point in life. It holds a valuable lesson for us all. Let's dive in. She thought she could humiliate him, but she had no idea that the gatekeeper had a past that would shatter her privileged world. What he did next left her utterly speechless. Sophia Grant was a woman who seemed to have everything society deemed valuable: beauty, wealth, and power. Born and raised in the affluent neighborhoods of Westchester, New York, she grew up shielded from the harsh realities of life. Her father, a renowned attorney, and her mother, a celebrated socialite, ensured that Sophia's childhood was a bubble of indulgence. Her whims were indulged with backyard ponies, a wardrobe filled with designer clothes, and the finest private tutors. To her, the world was a playground, and she believed she was destined for greatness simply by virtue of her existence. Her friends, carefully chosen from equally privileged circles, only reinforced her sense of superiority. At 30, Sophia was on the brink of what she considered her greatest triumph: a promotion to vice president of marketing at one of New York's most prestigious companies. To her, it wasn't just a step up the career ladder. It was proof that she was better, smarter, and more deserving than anyone around her. She believed she had worked hard for it, even though Sophia's work often consisted of charming clients over extravagant lunches or delegating tasks to subordinates she barely acknowledged. However, her competitor for the position was Emma Rivers, a woman who couldn't have been more different from Sophia. Emma was known for her kindness and unwavering work ethic, earning respect from colleagues at every level of the company. But to Sophia, Emma was nothing more than a nuisance, someone who didn't belong in the same room, let alone competing for the same position. On a rainy Monday morning, Sophia arrived at the office in a foul mood. Her car service had been late, the rain had smudged her makeup, and her pricey latte had spilled during the chaos of her commute. She stormed into the lobby, irritation flaring as she spotted Ethan Brooks, the gatekeeper, mopping the floor near the main entrance. Her eyes narrowed as she approached him, the click of her heels echoing through the space. "Really?" she snapped, her voice sharp enough to make heads turn. "You have to do this right now? People are trying to get to work." Ethan looked up, his calm expression unwavering. He wasn't the type to be easily rattled. "Good morning, ma'am," he said politely, his voice deep and steady. "I'll be done shortly." But Sophia wasn't willing to wait even a moment. She didn't want to wait at all. "A minute isn't good enough," she retorted, her voice icy. "Some of us have important things to do, unlike you." Her words hung in the air, drawing uncomfortable glances from passing employees. But Ethan, ever composed, simply nodded and continued his work without a word. His silence seemed to only fuel Sophia's frustration. As she swept past him, she muttered loudly, "Maybe if you worked harder, you wouldn't be stuck mopping floors." To the others in the lobby, her comment was cruel and unnecessary. To Ethan, it was just another reminder of the arrogance he had encountered from people like Sophia throughout his life. But while Sophia walked away feeling justified, she didn't realize her actions had stirred something deeper, something that would soon come back to haunt her. To Sophia, Ethan Brooks was just a doorman, an invisible figure she barely acknowledged. But what she didn't know was that Ethan Brooks was no ordinary doorman. Beneath his uniform lay a story of resilience and quiet strength. Years ago, Ethan had lived the American dream. He had built a thriving enterprise. But life can be unforgiving. When the economic recession hit, Ethan's contracts dried up, debts piled high, and his company collapsed. With no safety net, he lost everything: his home, his savings, and eventually his wife, who couldn't bear the strain of their losses. Now, Ethan works as a doorman in New York City, living in a modest apartment in the Bronx. Every dollar he earns goes towards supporting his daughter, who is studying nursing in Atlanta. Despite the challenges life has thrown at him, Ethan has managed to hold on to his dignity, refusing to let bitterness define who he is. Sophia's disdain for Ethan didn't stop at the sharp words in the lobby. No, her contempt quickly escalated into petty actions aimed at humiliating him further. One morning, she accidentally spilled her steaming coffee right next to Ethan's cleaning supplies. With feigned innocence, she glanced at him and said, "Oh, looks like you've got some work to do now." She didn't wait for a response and strode off with purposeful confidence. Another time, she deliberately left a pile of crumpled papers and candy wrappers in the middle of the office floor. A bright yellow sticky note was stuck on top. Its message written in bold capital letters, "Clean this up immediately. Ethan." As always. But Sophia's anger wasn't confined to Ethan. Her ambition for the vice president role had turned into an obsession, and her main rival, Emma Rivers, became a target as well. Determined to undermine her, Sophia orchestrated small but carefully calculated schemes. She accidentally forwarded an incomplete report to Emma just minutes before an important meeting, forcing her to scramble to fix it in front of their boss. She whispered baseless rumors about Emma's competence to their colleagues, hoping to tarnish her spotless reputation. But what Sophia failed to realize was that her actions were not going unnoticed. Her cruelty toward both Ethan and Emma was quietly sowing seeds of resentment among those who had once admired her ambition. The carefully constructed world of privilege and power she had built was beginning to show cracks. But Sophia, blinded by her own ego, remained oblivious. What began as quiet whispers among employees turned into a storm she couldn't control. Unbeknownst to her, someone had recorded the moment in the conference room when she humiliated Ethan in front of clients. The video, capturing her condescending tone and harsh remarks, was both damning and viral. By the end of the day, nearly everyone in the office had seen it. The next morning, the usually bustling office felt heavier. Whispers followed Sophia wherever she went, and employees exchanged knowing glances as she passed. For the first time, her confidence wavered as she opened her inbox to find a meeting request from Human Resources. The subject line alone, "Urgent, Code of Conduct Review," sent a chill down her spine. In the HR meeting, Sophia was met with stern faces and firm voices. "This behavior does not reflect the values of our company," one of the HR representatives began, sliding a printed screenshot of the video across the table. "This has caused significant damage to your reputation and to ours." For a woman who had always believed her charm and connections could shield her from consequences, the reprimand was a bitter pill to swallow. Yet, instead of self-reflection, Sophia doubled down on her arrogance. "This is ridiculous," she fumed to her closest colleague, flipping her perfectly styled hair over her shoulder. "People these days are so sensitive. It's not like I lied. I was just being honest." But the truth, it turned out, was not on her side. A week later, the CEO called a company-wide meeting to announce the highly anticipated promotion to Vice President of Marketing. Sophia walked into the room with her head held high, fully expecting her name to be called. She had rehearsed her victory speech in her mind, imagining the applause that would erupt afterward. Instead, the CEO's voice shattered her dream. "Please join me in congratulating Emma Rivers as our new Vice President of Marketing." The room erupted in applause. Sophia sat frozen, her complexion pale. Emma, radiant yet humble, stood to thank her colleagues, her words filled with sincerity and gratitude. Each clap felt like a hammer blow to Sophia's pride. Afterward, Sophia stormed into the CEO's office, slamming the door shut behind her. "This is absurd," she shouted. "I deserve that promotion. You let a doorman ruin my career." The CEO's response was cold and direct. "No, Miss Grant, you ruined your own career. Ethan Brooks has displayed far more professionalism and integrity than you ever have. If you can't treat people with respect, then you don't belong here." That moment marked the end of Sophia's reign at the office. Her once bright future dimmed, tarnished by her own arrogance and cruelty. Meanwhile, Emma Rivers stepped into her new role with grace, admired by colleagues for her kindness and undeniable competence. times had changed, and so had the destiny of Ethan Brooks. A week after the viral video incident, Ethan was called into the CEO's office. As he stepped in, he adjusted his janitor's uniform, unsure why he had been summoned. The CEO stood up, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Ethan," the CEO began, "your professionalism and resilience in the face of adversity have not gone unnoticed. Starting next week, I'd like to offer you the position of facilities manager." Ethan blinked, stunned. "Facilities manager?" he repeated, as if the words were meant for someone else. "That's right," the CEO confirmed. "It comes with a higher salary, full benefits, and the opportunity to mentor others. You've demonstrated the leadership qualities this company deeply values, and it's time we acknowledge that." Gratitude swelled in Ethan's chest, though he remained as humble as ever. "Thank you, sir," he said softly, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Meanwhile, the walls were closing in on Sophia Grant. Sophia's financial troubles mounted as her once lavish lifestyle became increasingly unsustainable. Without the promotion, her salary wasn't enough to cover her extravagant expenses. Bills piled up, creditors called, designer clothes, luxury cars, exclusive memberships, all began slipping through her fingers. One evening, as the sun dipped below the city's skyline, Ethan Brooks was leaving the office when he spotted Sophia Grant sitting alone on a bench outside the company. Her face was blank, gazing at the stream of people passing by. For a moment, Ethan considered walking past her. After all, she had been cruel and dismissive, the very embodiment of arrogance. But something stopped him. Ethan understood what it felt like to be lost, to stand at a crossroads where every choice seemed wrong. He took a deep breath and approached her. Sophia flinched at the sound of his voice and looked up, her red-rimmed eyes betraying the tears she had been trying to hold back. Ethan sat down beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. "Not much," he replied, his tone calm and steady. "I just wanted to say that life has a way of humbling us, and when it does, we have a choice, to let it break us, or to let it shape us." Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she quickly turned away. Ashamed. I don't know how to fix this anymore," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I've ruined everything. My career, my reputation, everything I worked so hard for." Ethan nodded slowly, his gaze steady as he spoke. "It's not about fixing what's broken," he said, his voice calm yet resolute. "It's about what you choose to do next. Some things can't be undone, but that doesn't mean you can't start over and build something better." He glanced at her one last time, his eyes steady and kind, before walking away into the night. Sophia remained on the bench, Ethan's words echoing in her mind. They weren't loud or accusatory. They were quiet, almost gentle, but they pierced through the walls she had spent years building. That night, Sophia sat alone in her apartment, the once vivid city lights outside her window now dimmed. Ethan's words resonated within her, soft yet unwavering. "It's not about fixing what's broken. It's about what you choose to do next." She stared at her reflection in the mirror, searching for the woman she once prided herself on being, Sophia Grant. Confident, poised, always in control. But the person staring back wasn't the invincible figure she once believed herself to be. She saw cracks, vulnerability, and for the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel. "Maybe," she whispered to herself, her voice trailing off. The words felt unfamiliar on her lips, but they lingered, planting a small seed of hope amidst her regrets. For the first time, Sophia wasn't thinking about what she had lost: her promotion, her reputation, her career. Months passed, and Ethan Brooks found his life improving. With his new position and steady income, he established a scholarship fund. The scholarship fund's inauguration was marked by a grand gala, attended by employees, donors, and community members. The ballroom was elegantly decorated, with soft golden lights casting a warm glow over the crowd. Ethan, standing near the entrance, greeted guests with his characteristic humility and grace. As the evening unfolded, the atmosphere brimmed with hope and inspiration. Stories of the scholarship recipients were shared, young individuals who, through Ethan's efforts, now had the chance to pursue their dreams. Laughter and applause echoed throughout the room as guests celebrated the profound impact of this meaningful program. At the end of the night, Emma Rivers took the stage to deliver a speech. Tonight, we gather not only to celebrate the opportunities this scholarship program will create, but also to honor the man whose vision brought it to life, Ethan Brooks. She began. Her words met with a round of applause from the audience. Ethan's journey is a testament to resilience and the power of kindness. Even in the face of tremendous hardship, he chose to lift others up rather than succumb to bitterness. His integrity and strength remind us all of the value of compassion and perseverance. She paused, her eyes sweeping across the room. Ethan, you've shown us that the courage and compassion of one person can inspire an entire community. Tonight, we honor you, not just for what you've done, but for who you are. The room erupted into thunderous applause, cheers rising to a crescendo. But not everyone in attendance was celebrating. Sitting in the back of the room, almost unnoticed, was Sophia Grant. Her once pristine world had crumbled. That night, as she scrolled through photos of the gala on social media, tears blurred her vision. She saw pictures of Ethan smiling beside the scholarship recipients, Emma's radiant expression during her speech, and the warmth emanating from every corner of the event. And then she saw herself, a solitary figure in the background, a shadow amidst the glow. For the first time, the full weight of her actions sank in. Ethan had risen above her cruelty to create something lasting and meaningful. His integrity had inspired an entire room, while her arrogance had left her utterly alone. Sophia wiped away her tears, her heart heavy with regret. But beneath that regret was a faint glimmer of hope. Perhaps, she thought, it wasn't too late to start learning from the beginning. This story teaches us that a person's true worth is not defined by their position or wealth, but by how they treat others. Integrity, kindness, and humility are the keys to lasting success and respect. Meanwhile, arrogance and disregard for others often lead only to isolation and failure. Moreover, failures and adversities in life are not the end, but opportunities to grow and start anew. What matters is our ability to acknowledge mistakes, learn from them, and continuously strive to become a better version of ourselves. Thank you for listening to this inspiring story. I hope the lessons from it encourage us to reflect on how we treat one another and the true values in life. If you found this story meaningful, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Life Stories so you won't miss more meaningful stories to come. Thank you, and see you in the next video.